From Tally to Cali,
It's time
to wake up.
Wake up! Wake up!
Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.
One ball, corner pocket.
Now here's Warchant.com's Aslan Hajavandi
And Corey Clark.
Wake up! What is up, everybody? It's Wake Up Warchant, presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Coming up on today's show, practice observations. Looks like somebody's taking control of a position battle. On the diamond, the Noles absolutely thrash the Gators, making them beg for mercy. Again, it's glorious. Wake Up Warchant, presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, Tallahassee, Florida. cptallybar.com, the website, 2475 Appalachia Parkway. Physical address. Today's lunch special from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m., only $8.99. 5-piece chicken wings and French fries. Dozens of varieties of chicken wing sauce flavors, I guess we would say. Explore it over at the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. And don't forget, tomorrow night, bingo night at the CP. Always a great time at the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Warchant.com, your ultimate Seminoles sports source. Once you hit the 5-star rating and reviews on the Apple side of things, thumbs up on YouTube. Some more promotion, Corey. Don't forget, everybody, the Spring Showcase. That's April 20th. Not this Saturday, but the following Saturday. Garnet and Gold. Whole new renovation done at the Pensacola location, which I call the flagship. I think maybe now the one next to the Governor Square Mall might be considered the flagship or the headquarters, but the one by campus, the one that we all grew up going to, everybody, that's been fully renovated. It's going to be open Spring Showcase weekend. Come by for a meet and greet with Jarian Jones. He'll be signing autographs, photographs, all that sort of stuff on your in-store purchases. 12 to 2 p.m., and then the game is at 4 o'clock. Go check that stuff out. Also, go to warchant.com, go to our YouTube page, check out everything that Corey did on freaking Tuesday, man. Our guy, observations, baseball gamer, post-football practice interview, post-game practice, post-game interviews with Link and the boys. Corey, man, you must be exhausted.
What a day. What a day, Aslan. No, I'm not exhausted. Like I told somebody at the game on Tuesday, it beats having a real job. We had football practice and then went straight over to baseball to watch that. That was an incredible display. Everything about it was crazy. But, it was a good time. By the way, before we get started, did you get the email from the football coach in Idaho?
Yes, I did. I meant
Did
to
you respond?
I did not.
So we saw it, Coach. And we'll either respond or he basically wanted to know what to do in Tallahassee with him and his coaching staff.
Yeah.
While I think they're coming. Norvell's letting them either watch practice or take part in some practice and other stuff. And he wanted to know some fun things to do in Tallahassee. He knew, Corner Pocket was an obvious. But other than that, I was like, I don't know. What do you tell somebody that's going to be in Tallahassee for a few days? It's never been. Lifelong Seminole fan, has been a Seminole fan since I think he said 1988, the Dion punt, the game against Clemson, the punt Ruski. But it's never been to Tallahassee. It's never been to Doak. And I was like, well, I haven't responded yet, but here's our response. Go walk around the campus, which you'll get to do. Yeah. Go to Corner Pocket, obviously. Go to Garnet and Gold. Yeah. Load up. And then, I don't know, after that, what do you think there, Aslan?
Recess? Rooftop?
It's not bad. It's not a bad play. Potts is always popping. I think Potts is more of a Friday evening, I get the sense.
Yeah.
Like around 6 o'clock is when no, that's bad advice. That's
probably should get out to College Town, though, right? Like maybe sneak away from lunch and go do dinner at Corner Pocket. I'm trying to think, like in terms of like, aren't there like those barcade places around town? Like those.
There's rooftop bars everywhere.
Yeah, I would say check
those
out.
Those are cool.
Yeah. Charlie Park's got a nice one. If not, even Adams in downtown. That's the highest building, I think, that has a rooftop bar.
By the way, I've been meaning to do this for 6 weeks now. Okay. The night of our the night before our wedding, we had a party for people from out of town at Charlie Park, like a rehearsal. It wasn't a rehearsal dinner. It was just like a get-together where we rented out a space. things didn't go exactly according to how they were supposed to go when we got there. And her name was Sam, and she was the manager at Charlie Park, and she was unbelievable, just incredible. I've been meaning to shout her out because I'm sure, like everyone in Tallahassee, huge avid listener to the show. But yeah, she did great. She really solved everything, and it was cool. But yeah, there's rooftop bars everywhere. There's also, cool little food spots in Wakulla Springs. Is that something to do?
Nah, it's too far, man. They're here to do ball, man.
Okay, you're right. You're right.
Well, you're not totally wrong. Also,
Sod Cemetery. Go see the Sod Cemetery.
Yeah. Also, shout out to the guy that was walking up to the game on Tuesday night with his children and was like, Aslan, love the show. And then his adorable little daughter was like, who's that? And he's like, that's Aslan. He does the Wake Up Warchant podcast with Corey. So he didn't give me his name. I was doing talk to text in my phone trying to tell you guys about how crazy it was outside of Hauser. Absolute pandemonium. We'll talk about that later. We got a lot of practice observations to get to, Corey, but I guess from the top, let's just talk a little bit, or I don't want to say talk about, I guess, the ongoing lawsuit between Florida State and the ACC. Things worked out in Florida State's favor for the most part on Tuesday afternoon. You need to be a member of Warchant.com. Ira Schofel, what he did on Tuesday was nothing short of spectacular, giving you absolute blow-by-blow, yet layman's terms breakdowns of what was going on in that. So apparently...
Like Doug Llewellyn. Yeah. Wrapping up the stuff outside the courthouse like my man Doug Llewellyn.
Don't put justice in your own hands. You take them to court. People's court. I think that's what it was. So this has always been an anticipatory suit because Florida State had intended to leave the conference. The ACC put the first lawsuit in Mecklenburg County, North Carolina, and then Florida State followed suit with a suit here in Leon County. So last week, the courts in North Carolina sided with their hometown ACC brethren, and then on Tuesday, this Judge Cooper fella pretty much sided with Florida State. I don't know if you want to elaborate on that, Cor, but there is a quote. There's one quote I want to read because I want to be typical Aslan and throw cold water on some things. It was a win. It was a win. But Cooper did say, quote, I'm not saying Florida State's right on their allegations. I'm not finding that they win. I want to make sure everybody understands this is no indication that I think Florida State's got the better argument on the merits or not. I'm just saying that I think the motion for stay should be denied. I think in light of the fact that the way the suit was filed, it was classic anticipatory litigation, which reasonably lends itself to a conclusion of forum shopping. So basically, Florida State wants the best venue for this lawsuit, and so does the ACC. And on we go. Shall we?
Yeah, but I think what the judge was saying was that the ACC, unlike in Clemson, because they didn't know Clemson was going to file a lawsuit. Well, they knew Florida State was going to file a lawsuit because Florida State was more public about it. Clearly, Corey Clark was yammering about Clemson not doing anything for 3 months. So that's what he's talking about with the forum shopping, is that the ACC, knowing that Florida State was going to file suit, went and filed their own litigation simply because to beat Florida State to the punch in a forum that they thought would be favorable to them. Florida State filed in Tallahassee because Florida State is in Tallahassee, and they filed when they filed because that's when they wanted to file. The ACC, like he said, he thinks jumped the line just trying to. He said that's exactly what it looks like. That's what it reads like. He was pretty adamant from the beginning. And then I would say other than that, what does it mean now? Read Ira's story. Go watch the video he did with Tom Lang on the web on our YouTube channel, and I assume it's on our website somewhere as well. I was too busy during Tuesday to watch his video and to know exactly what it all means, and I'm not smart enough to even pretend that I know what it means. I know that it was a good day for Florida State because he could have said, no, I think it should be filed. I think the lawsuit in North Carolina takes precedence, and you're gonna whatever. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I think that he did. What's weird to me about it, Aslan? Read the quote again. The motion to stay.
Yeah, it says.
I don't know what that means. And my dad was a lawyer. I don't know what the motion to stay means.
For stay, the motion for stay.
Motion for stay. Well, I don't know what it means.
I guess maybe for the motion to stay inside North Carolina. I don't know. I don't want to talk
Inside
about
North
any further
Carolina, right? Yeah.
How much we don't know is going to be just that.
And
much
I don't
more
want to sound
eliminated.
dumb,
Yes.
but there's a lot of there's a lot of platforms on our own website. I mean, so go. Heck, Aslan, you could just throw Ira in at the end of the show. Him and talking to Tom, that's fine. Just throw that at the end of the show because it's very, very important. But it's again, it's legal wrangling. And as I was telling somebody at the game, somebody that works at Florida State on Tuesday, I'm like, man, I didn't get into sports to try to know what any of this stuff means. I don't know what any of it means. I do know that he could have ruled in favor of the ACC and did not. So that's a good sign.
Correct. And then the other interesting quote that came out of there was about like the TV rights, where the ACC was like, well, if they want to leave, we'll hold to the rights, but we can sell it to whomever we want to.
And we'd split the profits is what the ACC's argument is.
Yeah, so
it's like they can sell the rights to Fox if Florida State goes to the Big Ten, and then the ACC and Florida State just split the profits. And it's like, sure, okay, man.
The quote, the judge says after Florida State pays an exit fee, you keep the media rights. But if they wanted to buy the media rights, then you'd have to negotiate that price. ACC's lawyer says, or we would sell the media rights to somebody else, and Florida State would receive portions of that just the same way they do now. So this is ACC trying to hold on for dear life, where it's like, all right, well, if we hold on to these rights, we can sell them. Keep some of the money. Anyhow, check out Ira and Tom's video. All of Ira's reporting. They go back, I think, in late August, the 22nd. I don't have the date. I had the date in front of me, and I scrolled away a lot. Yeah, 22nd. I was right. Lawyers from the AC and Florida State battling it back out in Leon County Monday, April 22nd, 9:30 in the morning. So.
Oh, April. You said August.
I'm
like,
sorry.
man, that's a long way away.
April.
Yeah, okay, so just 2 weeks from now.
Yeah. All right, let's get to practice, Corey. My big takeaway, I think this was a clear cut the first day the DJ Uiagalelei outperformed Brock Glenn.
That we've seen.
Correct, yes.
Yeah. Agreed. Yeah, I agreed.
Right,
now, apparently he did so in the scrimmage too, and then he continued to do it on Tuesday. And again, that doesn't mean that Brock Glenn has clearly outplayed DJ. They've just been kind of, they haven't been very far apart. They've been very close together. I agree with you, Aslan. I thought DJ was the better one on. Now, Brock had some moments, including that run where he was over 20 miles an hour, which is crazy. Good for him. Athlete, Aslan. Better athlete than you think.
Yeah, sneaky.
Sneaky athletic. But, yeah, DJ made he made a throw to Portier in the final portions of practice. I think you were still there.
Yes.
Where
We're jumping all the way to period 22, kids, by the way.
That's
We're jumping all the way
fine.
to period 22.
I'm trying to find the highlights. Like it was Cypress had such close coverage, and then he threw it in the only spin. I'm talking about a rifle shot about 20 yards downfield.
On the run, rolling
on
out.
the run, where only Portier could catch it, and it was just an impossibly good throw. It was a throw that you're like, I don't know if you should be making. Oh, great catch. Like there was no space, and he threw it to a spot. Cypress kind of had his back turned a little bit, so it wasn't like it was about to be intercepted, but he was not open. And Portier made a great snag too, like stretching his hands out at the last minute. It was just between a corner and a safety. It was incredible. It was a really good throw. He also made a great one, I thought, 7-on-7.
Well, pause real quick. Sorry. Right. To add further context to that throw, I was right there on the sideline when it happened. The other person in coverage was Conrad Hussey, who, quote, said, "That's a good ass ball."
Did he really?
Literally, swear to God.
Yeah.
That's what he said.
Yeah, because it's like, man, we didn't get beat on that. What can you do? It's like sometimes in basketball, the guy's just going to make a shot, no matter how good the defense is. And that was just a great throw, an unbelievable throw, and then a really nice catch by Portier to haul that in. And then, he made another really good throw to Landon Thomas in 7-on-7, just a thing of beauty down the sidelines. And the reason I'm bringing this up, Aslan, is because that throw, as we just talked about, the one to Portier, was a rifle shot. It was a howitzer rolling to his right, just a line drive. This one to Thomas was a little floaty job over a linebacker, dropping it into a bucket down the sideline. He did another one of those to Toafili too. Like those are that's impressive that he made. We know he has the strong arm. That those little touch passes have been a bit of a surprise, and he had a couple of really nice ones on Tuesday.
Yeah, that was something that I put a check and a star by with DJ going to Landon Thomas on that. It was like a corner route, just another one of those where he's having to throw to a tight spot on the field and just finding a way to put it right on the mark, which I don't think we saw a lot of that from DJ here previously, neither or really in his career prior to this. So maybe this is something he's been able to unlock. He started the day off really well, too, in period 3, Corey, right? Where he hit Deuce Spann, one of Deuce's few sort of high marks of the day. Yeah. And then I think came right back and found Van Dravis in a soft spot in the zone.
And Van Dravis dropped it. But it was a really good throw. And Deuce had probably 3 drops. Finished up the practice with a couple of catches, but probably had 5 catches, 3 drops. Van Dravis, I thought, really came back well after that and had some nice moments. But yeah, I thought DJ just was. You're right. He's the best he's looked, and that was really important because apparently he had such a good scrimmage, and then to build upon that, it can be considered, and that it's just starting to slow down for him, and he's not slow down because that implies that he's like overwhelmed. It's too chaotic. He's starting to figure out the offense and getting more and more comfortable with the offense. Because the whole offense on Tuesday I thought looked as good as we've seen it because the running game was hitting too. Yeah. But the passing game was there, and DJ looked completely in control.
What do you think? Those 2 throws that I'm referencing early in period 3, it wasn't a slant, but it was just like a medium post route to Deuce, and then pretty much something somewhat similar to Van Dravis on the next play, like having time, not so much timing, but just finding soft spots in coverage and putting it on the mark. The middle of the field is something that people were gnashing their teeth about considerably last year, it feels like, when it came to Jordan's play. It was like, oh, Jordan's just going down the sideline and taking shots at, Johnny and Keon, and that's it. Like, where's the middle of the field? Do you feel that there's something that DJ, maybe it's, I don't know, either like a confidence in his arm strength or just maybe not being as overly cautious with the football as Jordan is? Because when you go over the middle, that's when you open yourself up to some problems. Have you seen anything from DJ that makes you think that that's maybe a part of the field that's going to be a little bit more profitable for the offense this year, or was that just some weird anecdote it just dropped on you late on a Tuesday night?
No, I don't think it's a weird anecdote or a weird theory. What I'm struck by when I watch him play is not just necessarily the middle of the field, although he did use that very well on Tuesday. It's that, and this is going to sound like a slight against Jordan because it's not. Again, you guys know I'm an enormous Jordan Travis fan, and he was great. But when you're as big as DJ, guys getting near you in the pocket probably doesn't rattle you much. You do stand in there a little long because it's hard to bring you down. The guys trying to tackle you are no bigger than you are. So I think that gives you a sense of calm in the pocket a little bit, or when he's rolling to his right a little bit, where I think that's when things can really open up in the middle of the field, the more time you have. And so I noticed that a couple of times on Tuesday. He rolls to his right, like we've talked about. They don't just blow it dead and he runs to the line of scrimmage like we've seen for the last 4 years. They let him roll around, and they let guys try to get open. But I think that the one, the Van Dravis that we were talking about, that Van Dravis ended up dropping, the first read wasn't open, and he doesn't panic. And again, Jordan Travis didn't panic either. But I think what they would do with Jordan was first, second read, third read, whatever, it's not there. You process really quickly. When somebody's not open, well, your legs can go get us a first down quickly. So just go scramble, and they did that with all the quarterbacks. This year, especially with DJ, he's very slow to go to the line of scrimmage because he's always looking downfield. And I just think I noticed that again on Tuesday that and they let the plays develop. They don't just blow him dead right away. And I think that to me is what stuck out more than maybe using the middle of the field. Is just this guy. There are going to be more plays where it's like he has the ball for 8 seconds. You've watched those games where there's a quarterback that just rolls to his right, rolls to his left, doesn't go all the way down past the line of scrimmage, waits and waits and waits, and then hits a play. I think you're going to see more of that this year than you did with Jordan, because why would Jordan? He could either lob it up to Johnny or Keon if it was one-on-one, or he could go take off and make a big play with his legs. Not that he did that a ton last year anyway.
Also, nice batted down pass by Earl Little in period 3. I got in my notes here.
Yeah.
Let's flip over to latter half of the first half of practice, some 11-on-11 work. I think
Do you chart every play?
No. Sometimes I do, but on Tuesday I'm just like, I'm only going to write down stuff that looks pretty good to me that's worth talking about on the podcast.
Because it occurred to me
but then I wrote way too much.
As I was staring at my phone again for the 100th time of the day, typing in another play, Matt Lasser, the Warchant's own, he charts every play. Yeah. And I chart every play, and then and then I was like, God, don't tell me Aslan charts every play too. What are we doing with our lives? Let's just let's make one of us the play charter. But yeah, so that's good that you do the highlights, and that was a really good play. That was a really athletic play that Earl Little made.
Yeah, I'm with you. All right, so I think this is the first 11-on-11 after period 3, period 11. I had our guy Lewayne McCoy with a nice catch. He got popped pretty hard too by I think Azarie, but he held on to it.
Yes, he had Lewayne. He had a couple of nice plays in that practice.
Yeah, Toafili had a nice catch coming out the backfield. That was with DJ at the helm, and I think they gave a first down to our guy from Alabama, the running back, Roydell Williams, because it was like a fourth and I don't know if it was fourth and short. It was like third down they started off, and they had a few opportunities to get a first down, and it was a very short run, but it was enough to get a first down in that situation. And then Brock Glenn had nice completions to Deuce Spann and Hakeem Williams. I had on that one for that period. Moon period 15, that's when they went inside Corey, one-on-ones. I looked at some of this stuff, and then I went to watch some trench work, so I'll defer a lot of this to you. But there was a really nice catch by Ja'Kai on Greedy Vance.
Yes.
From Brock Glenn that was thrown. DJ had a series of good completions in the same geographical area that people like catching. That's really tough for a defensive back to get to. Lewayne McCoy as well as Landon Thomas. Best play of that period, though, was defensively. I thought Shaheem on our guy Jalen Lucas.
Yeah.
Golly. Like, just seeing the way Jalen gets off the line, I'm like, good luck.
It's not fair. You almost got to – it's almost, honestly, it's like a goalie with PKs. Yeah. It's like a goalkeeper with PKs. You just got to guess right. Yeah. Because you can't watch his hips and know which way he's moving. And to give people a picture of what happens with these one-on-ones, especially that one, I think, basically Lucas is lined up in the middle of the field, and it's Shaheem in front of him. And it's just those two guys. Everybody else is off the field. And it's a one-on-one. You don't know where he's going. He might be running a deep route. He might be running a slant, a stop, an out, whatever. And he's so quick. But Shaheem did a great job there. Because if you try to read his hips and just try to figure out where he's going from the way you can't do it. Yeah. I mean, there's probably somebody in the country that can. Nobody on this team can, and that's not a shot because there's really good DBs on this team. That's just how unique Jalen Lucas is. And quite frankly, his brother. Yeah. His brother was the best player on the offense besides DJ, I thought, on Tuesday. Ja'Kai was exceptional all practice.
Yeah, but I feel like Shaheem just let Jalen do everything that he wanted to, and then at that last minute, that last moment, he just, I don't know if it was a closing speed or just the feel for where the route was going to finish. Yeah. He got there and broke it up. And it was beautiful.
He did. The reason I said it like I said it about the PK was because I remember Shaheem, and it might have been Lucas or Douglas, I don't remember, but he was covering one of them again, I think from the 5-yard line when they're going in, 5-yard line one-on-ones. And he guessed wrong, and the kid was wide open. Yeah. It was just an easy, here's the touchdown. But that happens to almost everybody that tries to guard those two guys in a one-on-one environment. You can't. You just can't. They're just too quick. They're just too quick. I don't know how else to say it. It doesn't mean they're unguardable. They're not undefensible because you have 10 other guys that can help you. But in one-on-one situations where you have a whole field to use and the sideline's not really another defender, there's almost no chance.
All right. Otherwise, Greedy had a pick in that period in one-on-ones.
Yeah. Yep.
Good job by our guy Greedy. Then they flipped around and doing some goal line work, if I'm not mistaken, Corey, where I think they were inside the 10-yard line doing one-on-ones. And had a drop. I'm not going to say who it was, but that was another series where Ja'Kai just absolutely shined.
Yeah.
He cooked my guy Shaheem in coverage and caught a touchdown. Lewayne McCoy had a star by his name in that period as well from Luke Kromenhoek.
Yeah, really good catch in the corner of the end zone. Yeah. Really good catch. Really impressive. Like the getting his feet down, the concentration to catch it, that was a really nice play.
And Camden Fryer, freshman on freshman crime on Kai Bates, had a really nice catch in that period as well.
Yep. And Morlock had one, like a juggling catch in the back of the end zone.
Yeah, I put a question mark by that. I thought like Ashlyn Barker might have.
Barker was waving it off, but no, it was a completion.
Okay. Also, there was a similar play in the corner that I was at with Van Dravius with Greedy, and he did catch the ball, but his foot came out of bounds. It would have been challenged. It would have been called. It would have been upheld because I think they ruled it out of bounds in the pace of play throughout Tuesday.
And there was one play, Malik Benson. We didn't talk about it, but and I bring it up because again we've talked about all spring about their penchant for taking deep shots. Benson was behind Cypress, and it could have been a 95-yard touchdown. Obviously, it wouldn't have counted, but Glenn, the ball is at the 5, and they're going the opposite way, and just overthrew him by about a step. But Malik Benson had sprinted past. I don't know if it was a good move or just straight ahead speed. I didn't see the first part of the play. I just know the result was Benson was a good 2 yards behind Cypress, but the ball was just a tad overthrown.
Vitamin Energy Plus, everybody. Get your focus up. Make your passes right on the mark all the time. With 260 milligrams of all-natural caffeine plus nutrients, Vitamin Energy tastes great, energizes the body for 7 hours. Also acts as a fat burner as well. How about the Mood Plus, tropical berry flavor, 260 milligrams all-natural caffeine, lemon balm, passion flower extracts, Rhodelia rosea root extract, all in one little bottle you can carry with you everywhere, anywhere, all the time. Shout out to our guy again, Noldad84. Is like, hey man, I only need to take a half a shot as well. What should I do with the other half? Do I put it in the fridge or can I just leave it out? You can do either. This stuff will stay out for a while because it's just that awesome. Go to vitaminenergy.com. Use the promo code WarChantBOGO, WarChant BOGO. Buy one item, get one of equal or lesser value for absolutely free. Awesome how that all works. Vitaminenergy.com. Shake it and take it. Corey, before we get to some more observations from you, I just wanted to point out some stuff in terms of offensive line versus defensive line work.
Okay, let's do it.
Marvin Jones Jr. is really, really good, man. I was really hesitant to put so much expectations on Jared Verse after Jermaine Johnson because it also, we were so early in the rebuild. You're like, man, that might have just been kind of like a one-off lucky kind of thing. They're not going to be able to keep catching lightning in a bottle, and they did with Jared Verse. And I don't know, the more I see Marvin Jones Jr. play, the more I'm convinced that he's going to be an absolute force for this team. So he had the best play I saw when it came down to pass pro situations.
Okay. All right.
And then I had two plays with check marks by Bryson Estes, and you'd been talking about him earlier in the spring, and then Mike Norvell kind of shone some light on him when we spoke to him after practice as well. That's got to be something good to hear probably for Bryson Estes, although I'm sure he's heard it in the meeting room. But there you go, everybody. There's a off-the-radar guy that we haven't been talking about that got some praise from Coach on Tuesday.
Yeah, and I don't disagree. Not that you would care if I disagreed with Norvell. I think his opinion trumps mine, but I think Estes has been good. And I think Estes is a good college football player that has been behind some very experienced older guys and still is. So, will he be good enough to crack this lineup and beat out the transfers or guys that are here? We'll see. But I don't think it was an accident. Like I asked Norvell about just guys kind of off the radar, not the experienced veterans that we think about that maybe played well during the scrimmage. And he's like, well, look, he's not a young guy. But then he mentioned Estes, like right away, like unsolicited. Because I was kind of more asking about who am I thinking of? The younger guys, the Lucas Simmonses or the Jalen Earleys or Armellas or people like that. And he brought up Estes. And, yeah, man, Estes has been good. When they hit some runs in the middle of the field, and they did that a good bit on Tuesday, Estes is in there. Another person that I don't know how good a day he had overall, but he had an enormous block in I think Roy Dell had like a 30-yard run in 11 on 11 at one point. And our man T.J. Ferguson had a really good kick-out block to open up a massive hole. He's a big dude, and he's fighting for a spot as well.
Also, Grady Kelly had a really good day.
Okay, good.
It was one day. I shouldn't get too reactionary, but that's what I do. So I'm more bullish on him than I was.
Okay, well, good, man. That's what people want to hear.
Yeah. All right, let's go to the 11 on 11 stuff towards the later stages of practice, Corey. I got this one as period.
Oh, 20. I did want to mention one play in 7 on 7s. They did 7 on 7s, and then they did them in the red zone. And Azarie Thomas had a PBU that was almost a 100-yard interception return. It was just a remarkable play. It's a play where you would think that Morlock, who he was covering at that time because of just the switching and everything, you would have thought, okay, that's designed to be almost pretty open, really open actually. And it was right away. But that closing speed and that ability to cut in front, the athleticism, is pretty remarkable. He ended up not catching it. And it wasn't a drop necessarily. He was a step away from maybe housing it the other way. Again, he gave up some catches. Portier, I think, got him in one-on-ones early. But A.Z. Thomas just continues to be just one of the best, probably going to be one of the better cornerbacks in the country.
Did he pick it up and run with it? Because when I was on the other side of the field watching the offensive and defensive lines battle
no, that was a fumble that – see, I don't know how you do this. Like, Portier caught a ball. He got thudded up by Blake Nicholson and fumbled. And Azarie Thomas picked it up and ran it back that's what you saw.
Yeah, everybody went nuts. Like he had a convoy with him as well.
Yeah, it was a good hit by Blake. But it's like, he's not tackling, but I guess that counts as a forced fumble. Because Portier did catch it and start to turn, and Nicholson thudded him up really good, and it came loose, and A.Z. Thomas was right there. Nobody's catching him. Nobody was trying.
I'm going to Adam
nobody
Fuller's,
caught him either.
Going to Adam Fuller's Twitter account, and Blake Nicholson has a mission takeaway tweet: forced fumble 7 on 7. So
there we go. It counts, baby.
It
official. Counts.
Which, by the way, side note, I've been very pleased with. I don't know if we want to call it the physicality of the spring, but they're letting the guys tackle. I mean, maybe not like tackle full, but there's I know, and Corey doesn't like this, everybody.
Nope, I do not.
Corey does not like, and a lot of times, like last year, if this stuff would have been happening, Norvell loses his mind. Like, keep him up, like stay off the grass, stay off the ground. I don't see him doing that a lot, and there's guys getting not dragged down, but taken down. I kind of dig it right now. Have you been getting anxious at practice, Corey?
I don't like that part of it. But yes, it has been happening. It's accidental because they're just trying to thud them. But sometimes you thud them with a real purpose, and there's a lot of guys running to the ball. And if they're all trying to thud the same guy, well, there's going to be bodies on the ground. And there are. I also think maybe some of it has to do with you don't need to get close to tackling Trey Benson. Do not even think about tackling him at his knees, and they don't do that. They're never going at the knees. Now, there always can be an awkward fall. That's what I worry about. It's not like they're getting hit hard enough where they're going to injure themselves on the hit. It's the fall because there's other bodies around or there's legs around. That's what I always worry about. But also, last year, it was Keon and Johnny and Trey and Jordan Travis and Jaheim. It's like guys that stay away, put them in bubble wrap. Mm-hmm. Well, these guys, none of these guys have really proven themselves like that. So I think Norvell is maybe a little okay. He's more okay with it because he does want to see how these guys handle the physicality and if they break runs. Nobody's tackling Cam Davis, but they're hitting them, and Cam Davis is hitting right back. So I do agree. I don't like that they go to the ground, but the way the running backs and the tacklers, quote unquote, finish the runs has been different, I think, than in years past.
All right, so the second half of practice when they started going to 11 on 11, starting in period 20, this is where the running game really kind of asserted itself, Corey. But I do have a very nice completion from DJ to none other than Ja'Kai Douglas once again on a rollout. But this is when everybody started eating. Cam Davis had a nice run with Kromenhoek's unit.
Yeah.
Roydell Williams had a really nice rush with Brock Glenn at the helm.
I think Keziah had one too.
He did.
Yeah.
That is correct. Also nice route by Lawrence Toafili on a catch from a throw from DJ Uiagalelei.
Look, it was probably a bust,
Right.
but my man was open and he caught it because that's what that dude does.
Yeah, and that was right before, and then following that was when Brock Glenn went berserk and just fast as lightning.
Yeah, it would have been interesting. I think in the so it's basically just he kept the ball. It was a really good fake. He kept the ball, fooled the defense, but not everybody. There were a couple of defenders that were chasing him. The linebacker wasn't going to catch him, clearly. Maybe the safety, who I can't even remember who the safety was, would have gotten him eventually. I gave him like credit for like a 40-yard run, but it might have been legitimately a 60-yard touchdown run. Like, that guy can move. And he was not running against walk-ons now. These are guys that are going to play at Florida State, that play, in a major role for the Florida State defense. And as Norvell said afterwards, and we talked about, he was over 20 miles an hour on that run. That's really moving.
That is, yeah, absolutely. It's crazy. That's a big number. Otherwise, I was wondering how they were going to put this.
Also, I should ask him, like, how did he know that already? Did somebody go to his ear and say, "Hey, man, Brock got up to 20.4 on that run"?
Probably.
Or did he look it up? Do you think he looked it up himself?
No.
Or do you think somebody told him?
I think somebody probably told him. I feel like. I mean, they got those guys that have got the catapult machines running, and they're at the computer and the laptop.
Oh no, I know they have them. I just wonder, like, those guys don't seem like the kind that would go up to Norvell in the middle of practice to interrupt something. I feel like somebody would have to, like.
Maybe third hand got to him.
Yeah.
Like someone's like, oh, and then someone's like, Coach, did you just hear that? Like, he just ran 20 point whatever. Or maybe when Norvell was walking out to speak to us, he went up to the guys like, how did Brock do on that run, by the way?
Yeah.
I think Aslan might ask me a stupid question today.
Right, you're right. I have something to talk about.
Yeah. But yeah, so for the record keeping on this, I wonder how it was going to happen. They had this period on Thursday, but they did it for period 3, where basically the offense was in the shadow of their own goalpost, like on the the negative 1 yard line, if you will, or on the minus side of the field. So they'd have to go 99 yards to score a touchdown, if you will, everybody. And there was a fumble on this one. They gave it to KJ Sampson, and on the graphic on Coach Fuller's Twitter feed, it says the period and the actual takeaway. And it's got KJ Sampson credited with the takeaway of a safety. They called the period team coming out.
Okay.
In case you want to know, everybody. So that's what they call that period, Corey. Was there anything else in that latter part of the 11 on 11 that needs some more light shown on it, other than the run game being pretty effective and explosive?
No, Ja'Kai made another crazy catch. I don't know if we'd already talked about that or not. The one where it looked like Greedy was going to have another pick, but Ja'Kai just kind of wrestled it away from him as he tumbled to the ground. Just another, and then the very next play, DJ just lobs it to him like a straight up jump ball that he almost caught in the back of the end zone. Like he was rolling away from pressure and kind of just lobbed it to the back of the end zone. And Ja'Kai almost made another spectacular catch. And I'm like, is he the new Keon? Ja'Kai going to be the new Keon? He's just going to make all these crazy catches, and he's the smallest guy on the field, or one of them. But yeah, it's going to be. I sure hope he stays healthy. And I am not going to make the mistake that I've made the last 2 years of just forgetting about that dude until he goes and makes another big play. Like, oh yeah, Ja'Kai's a really good football player. He and his brother are there is a chance. I'm not predicting it. But there is a chance that becomes one of the coolest storylines of college football. Is these two brothers in their own different ways, and neither one of them are huge, clearly, for football players, are making these big time plays for one of the best teams in the country. That'd be a cool little story.
Ja'Kai is listed at 5'9", 199.
He's put together, man. What's Lucas at?
Heading down that way right now.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll take you 90 seconds.
I
know that website. Gonna be a minute, folks.
No, I'm there. 5'9", 175.
Yeah. Yeah, Jakai's like the big brother.
Man.
He posts them up. He's like the Shaq of that family.
But Jalen Lucas is like a
he's put
bowling
together,
ball
dude.
as
He-
well,
yeah,
man, at
yeah,
5'9", 175. They're fun, man.
Yeah, and
They're fun.
they can really, like, again, I don't know how else to say it. Jakai has always been the quickest kid on this team the last 3 years, just in space. He's just really hard to deal with, and Lucas is quicker, and they're both really good, and they both think they're good, and they are good. But it's like they're guys that can turn 4-yard plays into 50-yard plays, and that's good to have. It's good to have on your team.
Go check out the interviews with Coach Norvell, Coach Atkins, Tomiwa Dorojaye, Devontae Brown. Did we get somebody else? Was there
TJ Ferguson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There we go.
I was there for that one, holding that one down.
Those are all available. They'll practice on Thursday and Friday. Friday will be closed to us, but we'll be out there Thursday, and we'll pair that together with probably the Miami game for your Friday podcast. But we also have the mailbag today, which is probably too late by the time you're listening to this to get a question, and we've already got like 15 late on Tuesday night, so probably not going to be able to add any more to it. But, just know that Tuesdays we'll have the thread up there for the Renegade Express and for generating discussion sparked by Cummins. Win some free stuff. It felt like Florida State won, the lottery when it comes to baseball when they hired Link Jarrett. Didn't work out maybe as we anticipated year one. Year two, I don't know, man. You were there, Corey. I'll walk you folks through what it was like on the outside of Hauser, walking from football practice back to my car, which was behind like the softball field. I think our guy Matt texted us and said, I think at 6:15 or so, they stopped letting students in. So Hauser was just surrounded by students, like groups of kids waiting around while their one friend tried to get in and then would come back and be like, yeah, they won't even let me in either. Their scanners aren't letting students in. And it felt awesome to see like it be such a hot ticket. The Chiefs were in the stands. You asked Coach about that as well. Just how lively was it in there for a 19-4 thrashing?
Well, yeah, we'll get to the game itself in a second, but yeah, Link said it. Link was like he's never experienced an environment like that as a coach or a player. And I just remember, man, he was a player in the heyday at Florida State. Like, this place was out of control. Hauser was like peak Hauser, but it was like peak Hauser back then. The animals were younger. There was probably a few more of them, but it was a party type atmosphere. It was the best probably baseball crowd in the country. Now it isn't because these other SEC schools have 12,000 seats. They have students drinking beer in the outfield. Wouldn't that be cool? Wouldn't that have been cool on Tuesday for all those students that couldn't get in? Arkansas, all that. But either way, like it was old school Hauser, man. And the Marching Chiefs being there, I don't know if it was the full band. It had to be a couple hundred. It was definitely more than a basketball pep band.
Right.
Like, they were there. And Link said that, he said that was just really special. I didn't realize his wife used to be the cheerleading coach at Florida State. I think that's what he said. So she's known Dave Plack, who runs the Marching Chiefs, for a long time. They talked about it. They came out for a game in October, like a fall scrimmage game. And then he wanted them to just do the national anthem, was the original thought. And then they're like, well, why don't we just play the game? And they did. And it was unlike any atmosphere I've ever seen at Hauser. It really was cool. During pitching changes, during in-between innings, playing the fight song, it was unique. And it was loud, and it just, man, you feel so good for the animals and for these players. Like, last year was hard for everyone. And it, for them to have a moment, the Ferrer and Tibbs and Cam Smith and Andrew Armstrong, to have a moment where, they went 2-22 during a 24-game stretch last year. And some of those games, I bet, were played in front of 300 people. And it just was the dumps. And then to have what I would imagine so far is every single player on that field for Florida State, I would imagine that Tuesday night was the highlight of their college career so far. That's how cool it was. like it was completely sold out. The marching Chiefs were there. And, oh, yeah, you beat the bejesus out of your rival from Gainesville. You rule them again. They took Caglione out in the 4th inning. They waved the white flag. They submitted because they could not get you out, and you swept them for the first time. And I think it's the first time they've swept them 3 games since 2000. Just what an awesome night for a baseball program that just continues to ascend. It was really cool.
Eric Lou Allen, voice of the Noles on the radio for the baseball team, tweeted out late on Tuesday night, Corey, I've been going to games at Hauser since 87. I've been doing games on radio since 2007. I've never heard Hauser that loud.
Yeah, it was crazy. And when our man hit the grand slam, Dinges. By the way, we got to start including, when we talk about Tibbs and Ferrer, and I'm talking to myself right here, Tibbs, Ferrer, and Cam Smith, man, Dinges is there, man. He is right on par with those guys.
He's slick. Yeah.
He is a masher. Yeah. He had 2 doubles to right center, and then a home run a grand slam to left off the scoreboard. And I got to watch him take batting practice before the game because we were there for football practice. Holy cow. Him and Max Williams just hit lasers. So when he hit that grand slam, that place went, that was incredibly loud. And remember, man, the game started with Florida hitting 2 home runs on the first 4 pitches.
Yeah.
And then from there, Florida State just pummeled them to death. 19 runs in 6 innings because they didn't get to bat. Yeah. 19 runs and 19 hits, 5 homers.
No errors.
4 doubles, no errors, and it wasn't like it was a strikeout fest. Florida puts the ball in play. That was just, again, Link isn't the kind of guy that reminisces and really waxes poetic about things necessarily, but you could tell that it meant something to him when I asked him about just what that was like to watch. The players at the end, they lined up the right field line and sang the fight song with the Marching Chiefs. The Marching Chiefs serenaded them with the fight song. Baseball players don't get that ever. The football players surely take it for granted. They don't even hear the Marching Chiefs, I bet, half the time because, that's just what their lives are. But for those baseball players, for that atmosphere, and they've earned it, right? Yeah. It wasn't like they came out because it's just Florida and they're 13-13. No, man, they were 26-5. They've earned that crowd, and they've earned that excitement. And then, as Link kept pointing out in postgame, to deliver the goods is what he kept saying. The team responded to that atmosphere and that environment and delivered the goods. And what a fun night! What a fun night at Hauser, man.
Cam Smith, 3 hits. Tibbs, 2 hits and a jack. Ferrer got on base 3 times. Jackson West, 2 hits and a jack. Dinges, 3 hits and a jack. Cantu, 2 hits and a jack. Lodi's, a hit. It was a home run.
He almost had another one. The at bat before he flew out to the wall.
Yeah. So it was quite incredible.
Ferreau had 3 hits, right?
Yeah. Mercy ruled him. 3 hits from Ferreau. Yeah, Mercy ruled him. That was great. So that would have been a really, 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 really long night, but it only went 7 innings. Corey, pitching-wise, John Abraham started, made it 1 inning, and then Andrew Armstrong came on and extended out and got 3 really good innings for the Noles. Brady Lauk also had pretty good performance, I would say, or decent.
Yeah. I think taken away from the pitching, Lauk is a guy that I think you might see more of. He's an arm that I think they like. And then our man at the end, Holtz. He's been pitching in more and more situations. And there was no pressure, obviously, when you have a 19-4 lead. But you're not going to lose the game, probably. But you'd also want to take care of business and run rule them.
Yes.
So you did want to, and he came in with the bases loaded because Rowan, look, man, I hope he ends up being an awesome pitcher. He just can't throw strikes right now consistently, and he always gets them in a bind when he's pitched. He got pulled in a 19-4 game because he just couldn't throw strikes. So
he got him 2 outs though. We had 2 outs though.
Well, yeah, but then he walked 2 straight guys after that. And then Holtz comes in and gets, I think he got a strikeout, he got an out to get out of the inning, and then he pitched. But if he gives up a double right there, then that's 2 or 3 runs, and then all of a sudden the run rule is in jeopardy.
Right.
And then you're going to have to use more innings. Your bullpen's going to be taxed more. So those were big outs that he got, I think. I mean, as big as they can be in a 15-run game. But they were big because it kept the run rule in effect, and you got to save the bullpen because you've got a quick turnaround. Because your other rival is coming to town in 2 days. So they start on Thursday night. So, yeah, man, that was big for him to do that. I think moving forward, Armstrong, you know what he is. Solid. Not spectacular, but solid. And then Lauk and Holtz are guys that I think he's going to try to keep he's going to see what they can do in more spots like that.
That's what I was going to ask. I mean, do you think when they're, hitting finals week or, mid-May, will we know who's reliable, or is this just going to be kind of the MO of this team where it's maybe for like a 10-day window, it's Brennan Oxford's the guy, and then maybe it's Joe Charles. Like, they're never really going to feel totally confident with who they have, but they know they're going to have options that are proven, but just maybe not consistent.
And I think what's cool about it, though, is other than the one young man I just mentioned, none of them are unreliable, right? Like, you don't look at any of those guys when they trot out there, whether it's Abraham, Charles, Holtz, Armstrong, obviously, Oxford, Dorsey now because he's pitched well lately. None of them are like, oh, God, what's this going to look like? You feel pretty confident with all these guys, which is good, man. He's not wrong. They have some arms. And, again, the 19 runs are the highlight. That's the headline, clearly, and it was really fun to just bomb after bomb, double. That first inning, what, the first 7 guys reach?
Yeah.
It's a pretty good answer when you give up two bombs in the first. And then Tibbs hitting the next. Tibbs is just so good, man.
Yeah.
He is just so good. Hits a double down the right field line. Then his next at bat, he homers down the left field line. And he's not a big kid. And typically, it's only the really big dudes that can homer to opposite field like that. And he just does it with so much consistency. It's really unique. He's a unique skill set there. But, yeah, man, they just up and down the lineup they hit. It was really cool to see. But that defense, again, it plays. No errors again. Florida Caglione made a pretty big one in that first inning that allowed a couple other runners to score. That if he makes that play, maybe it doesn't happen. So, and they're a good fielding team too, Florida. But, yeah, that's and just to embarrass them like that. You know what I mean? That is embarrassing. They just came off getting swept at Missouri. This was a big game for them, and they got flat out embarrassed. I don't know if O'Sullivan has ever had a team that's given up that many runs. I don't think so. I mean, it can't be too many. You can count them on one hand, I can promise. A Florida pitching staff that gave up 19 runs in one game. And again, I have to reiterate this. Florida State only batted 6 times. They only made 18 outs because of the run rule. They didn't get the 7th, 8th, and 9th to bat, or even the 7th and the 8th in a normal game. And then for the season, not only did Florida State sweep them, they scored 45 runs on them in 3 games. Run ruled them twice.
Yep.
As you tweeted about, it's a Tuesday series. I get it. It's a midweek. It's not quite what you see in the weekend. But, man, that has not mattered for the last 15 years that I've been doing this. Florida, it didn't matter if they weren't pitching their weekend guys. You still had a really hard time with them. You didn't hit them well. They usually won. Man, to sweep them. And O'Sullivan know, I mean, obviously he's won a lot. He's a really good coach. But he's probably not fired up on the bus ride back about what the guy in Tallahassee's doing with the program again.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Is it changing of the guard feel? I mean, I tweeted out, it felt kind of 2010 football, like where, you had Christian Ponder carving up Florida and Eddie Grand joking with Jimbo Fisher, just made him quit. And then, not that O'Sullivan's going to quit like Urban Meyer did, but just feels like, and listen, man, football, it has been nip and tuck since the 90s when it comes to Florida State and Florida. I think we can pretty objectively say that. But when it came to baseball, Florida State was head and shoulders better than Florida.
Until O'Sullivan got there.
Yeah, and it's I don't want to say we got lapped, but man, it felt like they were so far in the distance. And these 3 games, again, midweekers, we understand, but they have closed that distance a considerable amount, and if not past Florida. And that's
I would say
thing.
when it comes to that, whether there's been a change in the guard, the only thing I would say to that is so many of these guys that are on Florida State's roster right now doing this probably won't be here next year, including, I don't know, man, the top 5 guys in the lineup, 6, I don't know. Like, obviously Smith, Ferrer, and Tibbs are gone. I don't know if Max Williams is available to leave, but he's a draft. Like, you know what I mean? These aren't. Florida has a lot of young dudes that have come through the program, so I don't necessarily. I don't think it's apples to apples as like the 2010 football comparison, where that program was clearly on the decline. It's a young Florida team, and you brought in some 1-year guys. But what encourages you so much is, good heavens, did they evaluate these 1-year guys? I don't know who was recruiting Marco Denchis.
Maryland.
I don't know who else.
Maryland.
I mean, you know what? Max Williams, Jackson West, those guys clearly weren't shining at Alabama. And look what they're doing for this program, man. Cantu, I mean, he was a nice player at South Florida, but I don't know who was beating down his door. So, yeah, man, what's really encouraging is how this team how the program plays, how they play, how they're coached is what gives you hope moving forward. Not necessarily like this lineup will be intact next year, because it won't be. You know, most of these guys are gone. But I think we have confidence now that they will go and find some really good replacements. You're not going to find another Tibbs, probably not going to find another Smith or Ferrer for that matter, but you can go find some really good players. Yeah. I mean, Denges, he might be the ACC Player of the Year by the time it's all done, man. The way that kid's hitting, good grief.
By the way, James Tibbs, 52 RBIs.
I think he
got 54 now.
Yeah,
he was tied with
54.
He was tied the nation's lead with a fella named Alex Lane from Northeastern. Let's go get him out of the Northeast.
Yeah.
So,
all right. Well, yeah. No, Tibbs is. I was thinking about it too. I think you could make a case, Aslan. We'll see how the season goes, how it finishes. Obviously, Tibbs isn't Posey and Drew. But I will say this, especially in J.D. Drew's case, college pitching has never looked like this. Like, every single person that pitches for these teams is throwing low 90s and has some nasty stuff. Like, I think college baseball is closer to like AA minor league baseball than it's ever been. Like, legitimately, like you said, Wyatt Langford, went from Florida to the show. And you're going to see that a lot with these guys. Like, college baseball is really, really competitive with a lot of future major leaguers, clearly, like these big conferences anyway. It's like minor leagues, middle minor leagues. For him to hit like this against legitimate pitching, guys that will be being paid to play baseball, it's just, he's one of the better hitters Florida State has ever had. I'm not afraid to say it.
No, you're not. That's not hyperbole.
I mean, he is incredible. I think he struck out 10 times all season and like 135 at bats. He's got a 500 on base percentage or higher than that. He's got, like Aslan said, 54 RBIs, double down the right field line, home run down the left field line. Just sprays it everywhere. Just a really, really, really good college hitter. And I think we'll be in the major leagues by, let's say, 2026.
All right. Well, for the home team Bravos, hopefully. Hometown Bravos.
That wouldn't be bad. I wouldn't mind him. Well, I don't know. Yeah, he could play left field. He could play left field. He's not. They have a right fielder for a while. He's not better than Acuna, but he could play left field. I'll take James Tibbs in my outfield any day.
All right, good show out of us, I feel like.
We did it. We did it. It's a late show.
Yeah, it is. We'll patch it up with actually some bonus content here. We'll have Ira and Tom take us out with a replay of their.
Oh, there you go. Good job, Aslan.
Yeah, I don't think we came across very eloquent or edgy. But hey, listen, we understand everybody. This is an important thing that's going on. But also, these are. I don't want to underplay, but these are little battles in a war ultimately. So, when we really, really need to dial in, Corey and I will dial in. In the meantime, we work for an awesome company that's got a lot of awesome people. So.
Hey, speaking of those awesome people, just a little heads up that we did not record Seminole headlines on Tuesday. If you guys were wondering about that, Jeff had a pet emergency.
Can you call it a family emergency if it's a pet?
We're not
pet owners, you and I, so
I think so, and I really do try to take that into account because they are family members. But if you call it a family emergency now, that's a whole I don't want, you know what I mean? Like that's just, I know how important pets are. But family, when I hear somebody's having a family emergency, I don't think of an animal. Right. I think of, oh no, is that a son? Is that a mom? Is that a dad? But he had a pet emergency. But we are going to record a 1 hour, an abbreviated version of headlines for Wednesday. Okay. So that will be on the channel and in the podcast feeds at some point on Wednesday. So you're welcome, everyone.
We have an interview, Corey and I, lined up for later today. Don't know when we're going to deploy it. But it's an all-time great. So I don't know if the interview's an all-time great, but it's with an all-time great Florida State. Right. So we'll see how that goes. But we'll have shows for you the rest of the week. In the meantime, Jeff Cameron Show. Corey and I will sign off now. If you're listening to the podcast version, you're going to get Tom and Ira talking about the ACC lawsuit. If you're listening to us on YouTube, we're done.